Welcome back to Hearts of Iron 4 to another mod spotlight video. And if you can see my flag, you can already guess what this is and also the date. This is called the Iron Curtain Cold War mod. And it's of course very much a work in progress because there's no way that someone would have been able to get a very working scenario for Cold War this early, but this is essentially just the gist of it. It's a scenario that starts in 1949. The tech tree is still the one from the normal Hearts of Iron game, so I won't be really showing any of that, but of course, a work in progress, very alpha build. The reasoning that I've chosen North Korea is because, as a preview, they have released already I believe it's only one guy that makes this mod, which is all the more impressive, has released a North Korea focus tree, just as a preview, which of course just gives that mod a lot more sort of credibility that's going to go forward, because of course if it starts off already in alpha with already a workable workable focus tree for a country, that's already pretty good. And of course, let's look at the map because it's the main change for now. Of course, there's going to be lots more changes coming up, so this is something that we all should kind of keep an eye out for because it's very well made, and there's already changes to the map as well. So of course in Europe we've got sort of divided Germany and a divided Austria because of the fact that, of course, this is after World War II. Germany has already lost, and interestingly enough, they've already modeled in both West and East Berlin, which are their own states. As you can see, East Berlin is this thing, and Berlin is its own state. So that's kind of interesting. And then, of course, the Nordic countries being kind of neutral. There's one thing in a test game that I've done is that, of course, the major countries still have their own focus trees. So, for example, as you can see, Italy has got its own focus tree. So they do certain weird things dictated by the focus tree that they aren't supposed to do. For example, I've seen Italy invade Greece, even in the Cold War scenario, which is kind of funny. Because what they ended up doing is, as you can see, Greece right now is democratic, and what ended up happening was that Italy won, and being democratic, they just imposed democracy on Greece, even though they were already democratic, so that was kind of weird. But it's just, as you can I was already told you, it's pre-alpha, so it's pretty normal that this stuff can happen. Other than that, it's just really well made so far. All of the countries have their own sort of different versions that are more appropriate to the change in timeline, of course. And for some reason, the AI really likes, from what I've seen, to cooing Finland. I've seen four different countries coup Finland in my 2 different playthroughs, so that is weird, but also kind of fun that the AI can actually do things in the scenario. There's of course Pakistan and India already implemented with the sort of Kashmir divide and sort of dispute. There's Iran and Iraq, of course, all independent, and of course Israel and Palestine. That whole shebang is a thing. And of course, the colonies have changed hands. For example, Libya is part of the British sphere, and Somalia as well. Then I'm guessing there's going to be more releasable countries in Africa, considering how much more important it is to the timeline in this period to have releasable countries in Africa. And yeah, the main change is also, of course, the fact that there's 2 factions that are really big and really mad at each other. Now, they're already called NATO and Warsaw Pact because I believe changing faction names for the AI is not exactly something that the AI does. So they're already called Warsaw Pact and NATO, even though these are names that would not enter pretty much use until, I believe, the 50s for NATO and the 60s for the Warsaw Pact. The correct terms at this moment would probably be allies for the West and common form for the East, but it's really no problem yet. Also, another weird thing that should probably be changed fairly soon is the fact that Vietnam is kind of weird. This is, of course, the sort of more French-controlled Vietnam. As you can see, it's a puppet of France. And so the fact that they have the Democratic Republic of Vietnam's flag is kind of inaccurate, and also it's called Republican Vietnam, when I believe at this time it was still called something like Indo-Chinese Union, something like that. So that's kind of weird. And then there's of course the divide between the People's Republic of China and China, which is of course going to be probably tweaked a little bit. For now, it's fairly simplistic, but yeah, that was a very complicated situation that is hard to represent correctly. And of course, South America is pretty much the same. So I invite you all to keep this mod in your sights, because it's gonna get much more refined as time goes on, and I believe this will be very interesting to play in the near future. Of course, Yugoslavia is its own sort of thing now also, and they have a lot more territories than they used to. And then there's also the Tsar Protectorate, which is sort of a French occupation zone. Also, another thing that I believe is inaccurate is the fact that West Germany and East Germany are already established in 1939, but I'm not exactly sure when they were established, but yeah, that's also kind of fine. And so that's pretty much it. Other than that, there's not much else to say, other than, well, I hope that you will forgive the mod for being such an early build. Again, it's just very, very early on in alpha, so don't expect anything too weird out of it. But keep it in your sights, because it's going to be very interesting to play later on. I wonder if they're... No, they aren't. Okay. Yeah, so keep your sights on this mod. I hope you enjoyed this mod spotlight, and I'll see you soon.